talking about non-attachment, and we were talking about, we were really talking about non-attachment, and I wanted to go back to that topic a little bit. In our discussion that we had, we reviewed the 8 limbs of yoga, and it's always a valuable thing to go back and look at what the foundation of the practice actually is, so that we don't become over-identified with poses or like a feeling in our body after we practice, that we're really practicing from a deeper place within ourselves. So yoga starts with certain philosophies, and the very first set of philosophies is called the yamas, which means self-restraints. And you saw me demonstrating that first self-restraint, ahimsa, non-violence. Non-violence, yeah, towards spiders maybe, but specifically towards ourselves, learning on this mat how to be non-violent, how to listen on a deeper level, how to really take care of ourselves. So there's ahimsa, there's asteya, which means non-stealing. I'm going to go over these somewhat quickly. Aparigraha, which means non-coveting. And I'll just peek over at my list there so I don't. Satya, which means truthfulness. But the one I really want to focus on today is bramacharya. And bramacharya means continence. And what it is when we, can become aware of our cravings and learn to make a different choice. So when we can kind of get that discipline to notice what our unconscious cravings are. And it's not just like, oh, I'm craving chips today. Like, it's not just that, right? It's the patterns. A craving is just your brain desiring a pattern that it's familiar with, right? A certain pleasure pattern, or just something that it addicts to. And we addict to certain mind patterns, right? Some of us addict to worrying. Some of us addict to worst case scenario. So on our yoga mat, and remember the definition or one of the purposes of yoga is to calm the fluctuations of the mind. And by doing so, by bramacharya, learning where those unconscious cravings are taking us and choosing to make a different choice, we are able to start to really do that. And it shows up right here on your mat. So today's practice, my opinion, is that it's a somewhat challenging practice. We're not going to do a lot of vinyasa because it is still pretty hot outside, and I don't think we need to build a ton of extra heat in this season, but we are going to get into some pretty strengthening poses. So before we do all that, let's come into Shavasana. So lie down onto your back. And just have your strap nearby. You may or may not want it. And in this Shavasana, ideally you're able to stretch your legs all the right way out, but if your lower back is feeling sensitive, you can always bend your knees and place the soles of your feet down on the mat for now. And then just allow yourself to arrive. Just allow whatever may have been stirring prior to you getting here, allow that to start to settle down. And as you surrender your body into the floor, imagine you were surrendering your mind to that witness, that higher consciousness within you. And as you shift the focus over to the witness, allow yourself to take the temperature within by starting to observe your breath, just how you showed up this morning. Once you become present to your breath and it becomes in the forefront of your awareness, really feel the earth and the ground underneath you supporting the entire body. So for this first part of practice, we're just going to fully let go Anything that you're holding physically, mentally, emotionally, you're just going to surrender it right now so that we can start to surrender some of these unconscious patterns in our mind, so that we can start to choose where we want to send our focus. But first, we're just going to completely clear everything out. Take about another minute here to continue to surrender, to continue to cultivate empty presence. Now we're going to start to wake this posture up, and we're going to do Tadasana, lying on our back, which means we're going to really start to activate the body. So start with your feet, revolve your toes so that your toes are pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Extend through the inseams of your legs as if you could make the inseams of your legs grow longer, and press your inner thighs down into the mat. Turn your palms open, and as you breathe, pour the breath into your lungs and down into your pelvis. And as you exhale, imagine sending the energy out through your legs and through your feet. So your legs are super active here. Good. Now with your pelvis and your legs staying fairly stable, remember when we were visualizing that bowl of water in our pelvis? Keep your attention kind of on the pelvis staying stable. Inhale your arms straight back behind you. Be aware that your back ribs don't pop up off of the mat. Good. And then catch a hold of your left wrist, and keeping your legs, your feet, and your pelvis nice and stable, start to pull over towards the right hand side. So you're just creating a side stretch in your left side. Press your left foot a little bit more vigorously towards the wall in front of you, as if you could make your left leg grow longer. Good, and then bring it back to the center. Reestablish those back ribs pressing down. Switch the clasp of your wrist, so hold on to your right wrist. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, keeping your legs, your pelvis stable, slowly start to pull off towards the left-hand side of your mat. So you're just creating a side stretch. Send your awareness and your attention into the right side waist, the right leg, even the right shoulder. Good, and then slowly bring it back to the center. Release your wrists. Reach your fingertips long behind you. Reach your heels long in front of you. Hug everything in towards the midline of your body. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, hug your right knee in towards your chest. Good. So you're going to strongly flex both your right and your left foot. You're going to press your right knee forward so that it's stacked on top of your right hip. And then imagine that your right thigh bone could start to grow out of your right hip. So it starts to lengthen, right? So we're not compressing our thigh bone into our pelvis. We're creating a sense of space. Don't forget to flex both feet here. Good. So you're imagining that you're standing on your left foot and you're hugging your right knee in, because guess what? We're going to do that later. So imagine how much strength it would take to stand on that left foot, and how much strength in your core to maintain that equanimity in the bowl of your pelvis. Your knee stacked directly over your hip. Your knee and your knee is at an 90-degree angle, as is your ankle, as is your hip. Good, and then bring your left hand to your left hip. Revolve your right knee out towards the right, and then mindfully place your foot into a tree pose. So you can place it to the inside of your left thigh or the inside of your left calf, whatever's more appropriate. And then evaluate, is your pelvis still nice and level? So make sure your pelvis didn't tip off to the right. So likely your knee is on an angle. It's not pointing straight out towards the right. Good. Take your arms out to the sides, palms facing up. Keep compressing your front ribs down. And slowly start to circle your arms over your head And let all 5 of your fingertips touch their mirror opposite. Keep pressing the back ribs down. Good, and then circle your arms back around. Hug your knee back in towards your chest. And then slowly put your right knee into your left hand, and as you draw your right knee over into the twist, make a circle with your right arm. So your right arm goes back behind your head and then all the way out towards the right. So if you didn't do it that way, if you just went into the twist the normal way, it's totally fine. We're just looking for different patterns today, different ways to go about doing things. Learning how to rewire our brain. Good, and then slowly make your way back to the center. And bend your left knee, cross your right ankle over your left knee, and hug your left knee into your chest for thread the needle. Your right foot is strongly flexed. Guess what? So is your left foot. And then slowly start to straighten your left leg any amount, not all the way. So you're gonna almost feel like you're in like the standing pigeon pose. Think about if you were standing on the ceiling. Release your thigh, take your arms straight up towards the ceiling, and then start to lengthen your arms back so that your arms are in line with your cheekbones. So it's like you're standing in a chair pose with your ankle crossed over your knee. Good, and then release, hug your right knee in towards your chest, extend your left leg back down onto the floor as if you're standing on it, and then press your right knee so that it's stacked on top of your right hip again. We have 90-degree angles at both ankles and at our right knee and our right hip. Now, use the pillar of your right thigh, pull your head and your shoulders up away from the floor. Your thigh bone doesn't move. And then reach your arms forward. Your thigh bone doesn't move. Float your left leg up off of the floor, scoop your low belly out. Try to align your belt line. And then on your inhale breath, stretch your right leg forward to meet your left. Scoop out your low belly. On your exhale, hug your right knee back in towards your chest. Release your left leg down onto the floor. This is where you might want that strap. You can take the strap and wrap it around your right foot, or you can simply straighten your right leg, holding onto the back of your hamstring. Don't forget, it's like you're standing on your left foot. Notice if the right side of your waist is scrunching up, and elongate your right sitting bone towards the arch of your left foot. Good, and then whether you have that strap or not, just release the grip and see if you can keep your leg where it is. Just a little moment we're having. Then reach again, catch a hold of your hamstring. Your leg is super stable here. You're gonna use your leg to pull your head and your shoulders up off of the floor. When your shoulder blades are lifted, reach your arms forward. Float your left leg up off of the floor. Move your right sitting bone forward. On your inhale breath, lower your right leg down to meet your left. Scoop the low belly out. Lift your shoulder blades a little bit higher. And as you exhale, release it down. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. So we're going to set it up in exactly the same way. It's like you're standing on that wall in front of you with your right foot, right inner thigh spinning down towards the floor. Press your left knee forward so that your knee is stacked on top of your hip, and you have a strong flexion in both of your feet. So it's kind of like as if we were standing on our right foot and lifting the left knee in towards the chest. Good, and then move your right hand to your right hip and stabilize that hip as you transition into tree pose, lying on your back, but imagining that you're standing on the wall in front of you. So mindfully place your foot wherever you're placing it, and then evaluate if your pelvis is indeed level. So both of your frontal hip points are pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Take your arms out to the sides, palms facing up. And then as you inhale, slowly start to circle your arms back behind you until each one of your fingertips is touching its mirror opposite. And notice what went to sleep. Did your foot go to sleep? Do you still have a strong compression between your left foot and your right leg? Good. Circle your arms back out to the side. Hug your knee in towards your chest. Pass your knee into your right hand. And with your left arm, make a big circle around behind you, maybe, as you come into the twist. You can turn to gaze and look at your left hand. Your breath is opening you slowly, gently from the inside out. Good. Now slowly make your way back to the center. Bend your right knee, cross your left ankle over your right knee. Hug your right knee in towards your chest. Both feet are strongly flexed. You're imagining that you could push that left knee forward towards the left front corner of your yoga mat. And then slowly start to straighten your right leg. But you're imagining that you're in a chair pose, like a single leg chair pose. So imagine that you really were standing on that ceiling. So you feel that there's some tension moving back into your right leg. Take your arms straight up to the ceiling. And on your inhale, lengthen your arms back so that your biceps are in line with your ears. Good. And then release. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. Drop your right leg down onto the yoga mat. Keep spinning that right inner thigh down into the floor. Start to press your left knee forward so that your knee is stacked on top of your hip. Both legs are active. We're not forgetting about any of our body parts. You're going to keep that left thigh bone nice and stable. Lift your head and shoulders up away from the mat. And when your shoulder blades leave the floor, reach your palms forward. Good. Float your right leg up. On your inhale, reach your left leg forward to meet your right. Scoop, scoop, scoop. Hollow out your belly. Good. And on your exhale, hug your knee back and drop your right foot back down to the floor. And this is where you might take that strap. Place the strap around your left foot or simply hold on to the back of your leg. Notice if you're scrunching up the left side of your waist. So can you elongate through the left side waist? Make sure neither one of your feet are going to sleep so you can spread out through all of your toes. Once you have that entire leg nice and active, release whatever you're holding, just as a little examination. How much were you holding with your arms? How much can you hold with the strength of your body? Then grab a hold of whatever you are holding, again, your hamstring maybe. Pull your head and your shoulders up off of the mat. Float your right leg up. Reach your arms forward. On your inhale breath, lower your left leg down to meet your right. Lift your shoulders off the floor a little more. Spin your inner thighs down a little more. Take one more inhale. Go for the little shake. And as you exhale, hug your knees in towards your chest. Take a nice deep breath in. Sigh that breath out. Good. And then start to rock up and down the length of your spine. Of course, you can do that as many times as you want to. Eventually make your way onto hands and knees. And as you make your way onto hands and knees, just start to stretch the wrists before we get started. So turn your fingers to face your knees. Place a micro bend in your elbows. And then start to shift your hips backwards. Try to keep the crease of your wrist down towards the floor. And breathe into the sensations that you're feeling. And then imagine you could lift energy up and reach your chest forward. At the same time, not forgetting about your abdominals. Good. And then turn your hands around. Fingers spread out nice and wide. And draw a line from your tailbone all the way to the crown of your head. So make sure that that line is nice and strong. Hug everything into the midline. And then extend your right leg straight back behind you. Heel is in line with your sitting bone. Lift up onto your left fingertips. And then stretch your left arm forward. And you're going for length. Imagine someone's pulling your left wrist forward. Your palm is facing in. Someone's pulling your right ankle backwards. You're getting as long as you possibly can. And at the same time, I'm going to ask you to levitate up away from the floor. So can you use your core to de-weight your right arm somewhat? Take an inhale here. As you exhale, elbow and knee touch underneath you. Inhale, extend and get long. Don't let your foot go to sleep. Exhale, elbow and knee to touch underneath you. One more time, inhale, extend and get long. Exhale, draw the elbow and the knee to touch. Good, and then stretch it out one last time. Bring your left hand down slightly forward of your right, but underneath your left shoulder. And then spin your right foot down to the floor, the sole of your right foot, and take your right arm up to the ceiling. So you're coming into a modified side plank. So imagine you had superpowers. You were shooting those superpowers down into the earth and you're getting a spread across your chest as well as your back. Elongate your tailbone towards the front of your mat. Feel your low belly scoop in. And if you want a little bit more, float that right leg up in line with your hip. And if you want even more, reach your right arm over your ear, palm facing down towards the floor, shoulder blade creating shade on the right side of your chest. Good, so if you took any of those variations one by one, make your way back. When you make your way back, extend your right leg straight back behind you again. Inhale. As you exhale, draw your right knee to touch your left tricep. You can stay here, but if you want more, tuck your left toes under and kick your right foot through, coming into falling triangle on your right side. So we just kick the right foot through to the left side of the mat, tuck the left arm up to the sky. Push the floor away, lift the right side of your waist higher as you ground more into the outer edge of your left foot. Good, and then slowly take your arm back down. Find your way back, however you want, onto hands and knees. And when you get to hands and knees, just notice how we've kind of done something on one cross section of the body. Take a round of cat and cow. Just see what it feels like to move your body. And then find your way back into that neutral spine where you're drawing a line from your tailbone all the way through to the crown of your head. Extend your left leg back behind you, heel in line with the sitting bone. Think about that left inner thigh spinning up towards the ceiling. The lowest part of your belly is scooping in. Cup your right fingertips on the mat and then stretch your right arm forward and go for length. So your palm is facing the midline of your mat. Think about elongating through the inseam of your left leg on the midline of your mat. Like Sharon always says, these lines can be infinite the more we focus on, can we just find a little bit more space? Take one more inhale. As you exhale, elbow and knee to touch underneath you. Inhale, extend, and find that length again. Exhale, elbow and knee to touch underneath you. It's like cat and cow with a little bit more strength involved. Inhale, send it out. Exhale, elbow and knee to touch. And inhale, send it out. Good. Now place your right hand down, just slightly in front of your right shoulder, so it's a couple of inches forward of your left. Seal the outer edge of your left foot down, and spin your left arm up, coming into modified side plank. Good. Now, can you lift up out of that right wrist? At the same time, it's like stop in the name of love. You're shooting your superpowers down into the earth. If you want a little bit more, float your left leg up. Make sure you have a strong flexion in your left foot. So we don't want to forget about that foot. And then, of course, if you want more, reach your left arm over your ear, palm facing down. In fact, you can almost try to get your palm to face backwards towards the right-hand side of your mat. Really cultivating that external rotation in the shoulder. Good. Make your way step by step, however you see fit. Back. Extend your left leg straight back behind you on an inhale. On an exhale, curl your left knee towards your right tricep. Find to stay here. You can stay and breathe, activating your belly muscles, or you can tuck your right toes under and kick your left foot through, rolling to the inner edge of your right foot, sealing the outer edge of your right foot down, and lifting your right arm up towards the ceiling. Keep lifting up through the left side of your waist. If you took that fallen triangle, find your way back and find your way into a plank pose. So as we come into plank pose, it's like Tadasana. We're thinking Tadasana. We're thinking how much we can push our feet down. We can root down by sending the heels backwards, spinning the inner thighs upward, feeling the lift of the pelvic floor. Feel your collarbones get wider as you lengthen through the inseams of your arms, and think about the architecture of your arms and your shoulder blades. That looks beautiful, Sally. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. As you come into downward facing dog, start with the foundation. Look back at your feet. Make sure you cannot see your heels at all. So usually we have to spin them slightly towards the outside of the mat. Bend your knees and then lift your sitting bones up higher. It's like you're trying to elevate those sitting bones, and then start to straighten. Start to press the front of your thighs into the back of your thighs. Start to press your thigh bones into your hamstrings. And then pressing into the inner part of your palms, hug your triceps down towards the floor. Relax the crown of your head so that you're looking back at your feet or towards your belly button. Good, and then inhale, shift forward again to the top of a push-up. So this is a really strong posture right here. Imagine you have those superpowers. Stop in the name of love underneath each hand. Lean forward, tip forward onto your tippy toes, and explore your very most slowest slow motion ever. Maybe you can take a few breaths as you keep your core engaged and lower yourself all the way down onto the mat. Once you arrive, uncurl your toes. Place your forearms, your elbows underneath your shoulders, your forearms down on the floor. Press the tops of your feet down, press your pelvis down into the floor. And imagine you could pull your yoga mat backwards as you try to project your heart forward. So imagine the bottommost tips of the shoulder blades are reaching forward into the heart. You just come into this Sphinx pose. Make your legs long behind you as if you had a mermaid tail and your toes were just striving towards the back of the mat. Good. And then slowly release down. Take your hands out to the outsides of your mat. Place your fingertips down on the floor, elbows up towards the ceiling. The elbows are bent. And then imagine you could pull the floor backwards. You start to coil your upper spine up, coming up into a rolling cobra. Press into your fingertips. Keep pressing the pubic bone down, and keep pressing your shoulder blades into the front of your body. Good. As you exhale, release it back down. Again, inhale. Find yourself moving forward, then up. And as you exhale, roll it back down. One more time. Lengthen forward, then up. And exhale, lower back down. Good. Place your hands along sides of your body next to your bottom ribs. Tuck your toes under, lift your kneecaps up off of the floor. Zip up from your pubic bone to your navel, button your two frontal hip points together. Take a big inhale, and as you exhale, press yourself straight up into a plank pose. Take a big inhale, lengthen your body, and as you exhale, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Take 5 breaths here. See if you can re-surrender. So bring yourself back into that clarity of mind, that open mind, where we're ready to lay down some new patterns. We're ready to do things a little bit differently. At the end of your fifth breath, bend your knees, look forward. Step one foot forward and then the next. Set your feet up so that they're inner hips distance apart. Shift the weight forward towards the balls of your feet so that the hips stack over the ankles. And then think about lifting the sides of the hips up as you think about surrendering the crown of your head down towards the floor. Good. Inhale, lengthen your chest forward. Zip up through the low belly, lengthen through the sides of the waist. Exhale, fold back into yourself, lifting the sides of the hips up. Good. And then circle your arms, reach all the way up, rising up. And as you exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. And just pause here for a moment. So coming back into Tadasana mindfully. Take a moment to make that inner connection with your hands at your heart. Release your fingertips down to the floor. Turn your palms to face open. And imagine you were standing on the precipice of a mountain. Press your feet down into the earth as if you could really clench the earth with your feet without clenching your toes. It's almost like you're just trying to send roots down into the earth as you spin your inner thighs backward. Find the bowl of your pelvis, level it out. Try to lift your sternum from the inside out as you broaden your collarbones and lift up through the crown of your head as you line your ears right over your shoulders. So if you were to drop a straight line from the crown of your head, it would bisect the center of your torso and the center of your pelvis. Without disturbing that line, inhale, float your arms up, palms face one another. So now it's like you're creating a funnel for energy to flow straight down through that straight line. Really ground your legs down into the floor. Catch a hold of your left wrist. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, keeping the legs super grounded, stretch your torso towards the right. So your right arm can give you a little hand and lengthening. Keep trying to turn the right side of the chest towards the front wall. Roll the left shoulder backwards. Good. Inhale, back up to the top. Release your wrist. Turn your palms to face one another. Feel your shoulder blades hugging onto the sides of your body. Press your feet down into the earth. Catch a hold of your right wrist. Take an inhale, elongate through the right side body. And as you exhale, side bend over towards the left. Notice if anything changed in your pelvis. Did you do a little shifty? So if you did, think about those roots, that energy, that intentionality. Good. Inhale, your arms back up. Revolve your palms to face one another. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. We did this already. So you have a 90-degree angle at your hip, your knee, and your ankle. Press your knee forward so you decompress your hip, right? So you're not scrunching it up inside of yourself. In fact, you're trying to push it more towards the wall in front of you. Ground down through that strong right leg. Bring your right hand to your right hip and start to externally rotate your left leg. Place your left foot into tree pose, wherever you practice tree pose. And notice as you press your left heel into whatever part of your right leg, you firm that right hip in. So you're staying on that center line of your right leg. Take your arms out to the sides, palms facing up. As you inhale, circle your arms up above you until all 5 of your fingertips touch their mirror opposite. Root down from the pelvis through the leg and the foot so you can think about that grounding breath we were working on last week. But with your arms up, it's like you have this beautiful lollipop tree. You're expressing your branches so you have those strong roots so that you can keep lengthening through your spine. Good. Circle your arms back out to the side. Re-hug your left knee while keeping that length. 90-degree angles at all 3 of those joints. You're going to move that right knee or left knee so it's just in your right hand. Reach your left arm forward. And then start to circle your left arm around and back like we did when we were on the floor. Good. Take an inhale. Feel your left fingertips lengthening back behind you. And as you exhale, contract your belly muscles to create a little bit more of a twist. Good. Just stay and breathe. Take your left arm. Now you're going to do a clockwise circle. So forward circle it back around. Hug onto your knee with both hands. And then release the whole situation down. Notice where your mind goes. See if you can stay calm. Shift the weight onto your left foot. Hug your right knee in towards your chest, but not really in towards your chest. Kind of right in front of your hip. So you're elongating. It's like you're trying to make your right thigh bone grow longer. You have 90-degree angles at all three joints. As you root down through your left foot, your pelvis is stable, but you're finding that expression, that upwards expression through your torso. Left hand to the front of your left hip. Start to revolve your right knee out towards the right. Notice if you shifted off of that center line. And mindfully place your right foot into tree pose, wherever you're practicing tree pose. It could be different from one side of the body to the other. You'll notice again, your frontal hip points are still facing the front of the room. Take your arms out to the sides. This is an exercise in what can we bring in. So you're a rooted, strong tree, and you're going to bring in all that sunshine and all that nutrition as you circle your arms up above you. Each fingertip is going to meet its mirror opposite. So we also bring attention and awareness to our fingers. As you root down through your foot, your leg, your pelvis, lift up, lift all four sides of your rib cage as if you could express and grow into the potential beautiful tree that you are. Good, and then circle your arms back out to the sides. Hug your right knee back in, except we're not really thinking in, we're thinking out. We're pushing it forward. Reach your right arm forward, and then circle your right arm around behind you. So think about that midline of your mat. Your right inner thigh and your right inseam of your arm are on that midline. As you inhale, reach your right fingertips back a little further. As you exhale, contract your belly muscles to create a little bit more twist. Do that a few more times. Rooting down, lifting up. And then, like you're doing a crawl, take your right arm over clockwise. Hug your knee with both hands. One more breath. And then slowly release it down. Good. Tadasana. Again, press your feet down into the earth. Pour the breath into your lungs. As you exhale, send the breath down, further rooting yourself down. Inhale, circle your arms up above you. Feel your ribcage lift up off of your pelvis. As you exhale, hinge and fold forward, long spine. Inhale, lift your chest. As you exhale, bend your knees. Step back into a very strong plank pose. So let's really exaggerate the strengthening that's happening here. As you press your heels back, imagine you could firm your abdominal wall in and draw the sides of your waist more towards the midline. On your inhale, shift your shoulders forward. As you exhale, two choices. Either lower yourself down as slowly as you possibly can or take chaturanga. Your choice. If you're taking chaturanga, you can make your way through a vinyasa. If you're lowering as slow as you can, you also can make your way through a vinyasa. And we all find our way back into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. See if you can think about extending energy out through every single fingertip. Good. Inhale your right leg straight back behind you. As you exhale, shift forward. Curl your knee in towards your chest. and step your foot between your hands. Drop your back knee down. And lean your spine backwards so that your spine is standing right on top of your pelvis. Now I want you to imagine that you have eggshells underneath your front right foot, right? So you're really standing nice and tall. The roots are going down through your left leg. Cross your hands over your chest. Let's say right wrist in front of the left, just so we can be consistent. And then with those eggshells underneath your right foot, don't squish the eggshells. Just start to revolve. Exhaling as you turn towards your right leg. Inhaling as you open up towards the left. Your frontal hip points are staying facing the front because you have this strong stance on your left leg. Let's do it one more time. The exhale brings you towards your front leg. The inhale brings you back open again. Good, and then bring your shoulders so that they're square in front of you. Bring your fingertips down on either side of your right foot. Tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee up off of the mat. And then start to draw the feet towards one another. So they're not actually gonna move, but you're gonna imagine the right heel sliding backwards as the left toes slide forward. Feel your pelvic floor light up, and then extend your arms out towards the sides. Press into the center of your right heel, and as you inhale, rise up, and as you rise up, place that generous bend in your back knee. Lift your ribcage up off of your pelvis. Catch a hold of your left wrist. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, side bend towards the right. Good. Inhale, back up to the top. And as you exhale, seal the outer edge of your left foot down, coming into warrior two. Good. So as you come into warrior two, you're thinking of elongating through the right inseam of your leg. Draw the outer right knee back into the hip socket. So it's like a conveyor belt that you're picturing here. Extend out through your arms nice and long, triceps firm. And as you root down through the pelvis, the legs and the feet, see if you can rise up from the rib cage. Good. On your inhale, straighten your right leg. Take both arms up to the ceiling. As you exhale, rebend your right knee. Come back into warrior two. As you inhale, reverse your warrior, so you're finding that side stretch. And as you exhale, bring your right hand to either forearm to the thigh or hand to the inside of your ankle. Left arm stretches over your ear. So that left shoulder blade is turning down as you try to lift the right side of your chest up. Good. Circle your left arm around, place your hand on your hip, look forward. Hop your back foot in a little bit and then hug your right hip in towards the midline of your mat. Place your fingertips or a block about 8 inches forward of your right big toe and float that left leg up. It's kind of like when we were in that modified side plank. Shoot the energy out through your left leg. And then take your right arm up to the sky, your left arm up to the sky. The more you press down into the four corners of your right foot, the more you feel your pelvis lifting up off of your thigh. Good. Now circle your left arm back down to the floor, square off your pelvis. So you're like in a warrior three with your fingertips down. And then lower your left leg down to meet your right leg. Bend your knees. Circle your arms, Utkatasana chair pose. Good. Shift the weight onto your left foot. Curl your right knee in towards your chest. And cross your right ankle over your left knee. So the arms are still in line with the cheekbones. Sit your hips a little bit lower as you come into standing pigeon. Good, and then stand all the way up. Hug your knee in towards your chest. And release your right foot down to meet your left. As you inhale, press your feet down into the earth. Inhale, circle your arms, reach up to the sky. Exhale, hinge and fold that breath all the way out. Inhale, draw your lowest part of your belly and reach your chest forward, lengthen through the sides of the waist. As you exhale, step back into a plank pose. Make this a super strong plank pose. You're pushing the floor away. You're lifting the back of your heart up into your shoulder blades. On your inhale, shift forward. Your choice, either super, super slow motion or chaturanga. You choose. Make your way to downward facing dog. However you'd like to get there. Inhale your left leg straight back behind you. As you exhale, curl your knee in towards your chest. Push the floor away. Step your foot between your hands, drop your back knee down. And as you root down through that right shin, lift your torso up on top of your right leg. So much so that it's like I could slide a little piece of paper underneath your left foot. Cross your left arm over your right arm. Keep it consistent, right? Take a big inhale. As you exhale, contract your belly muscles to turn towards the left. As you inhale, open it up. So your pelvis stays facing forward, but you feel your rib cage turning up above the stability of your pelvis. Exhale, contract your belly muscles to get there. Notice if you're pushing with your shoulders. Try to keep your shoulders just moving from the strength of your core. We'll do it one more time. Observe how much are you really standing on that back right knee. Good, and then level it out. Bring your fingertips down on either side of your left foot. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee up off of the mat. Start to scissor the legs. Left heel tries to pull back. Right toes try to pull forward until you feel your pelvic floor kick on. So really wait for that moment. Place your awareness there. And when it's there, take your arms straight out to the sides. Good. Press into the center of your left heel. Rise up to a crescent pose as you place that generous bend in the back knee. Lift the frontal hip points up. You're super rooted down through the legs. You're super lifted through the torso. Catch a hold of your right wrist. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, pull off towards the left. Stay rooted, stay grounded. Good. Inhale back up to the top. Palms turn to face one another. Seal the outer edge of your right foot down. Open up, warrior two. Heel toe your left foot so that you have heel to arch alignment. Make sure your right toes are turned in roughly 10 to 15 degrees. And think of that conveyor belt from the innermost part of your left thigh around the band of your knee, sealing the outside of your left thigh into your left hip socket. Arms reach long. Legs and pelvis super grounded as the torso is trying to levitate. Good. As you inhale, straighten your left leg, arms up to the sky, palms face one another. As you exhale, rebend your left knee, warrior two. Side bend, flip your left palm over, inhale, reverse. As you exhale, either forearm to the thigh or left hand down to a block or to the floor, to the inside of your left ankle. Right arm is going to circle all the way over your ears. You press strongly into the outer edge of that right foot. You're trying to elongate that right side of the body. Left lung turns down to the floor, right lung rolls back up towards the ceiling. And then circle your right arm around. Place your hand on your hip, look forward. Scoot your right foot in a couple of inches and notice the tendency of your left butt to swing out towards the left side. So hug it to the midline. And then send your roots down to float your right leg up for Ardha Chandrasana. You're strong through that right leg. You're strong through that left leg, so much so that your pelvis is lifting up on top of your thigh. When you're ready, right arm extends up towards the ceiling. Make sure you're not struggling, you guys. You're not a salmon swimming upstream. You're here to find a flow, a place where you can breathe, a place where you can reflect from that witness perspective. Good. Slowly circle your right hand back down. Square off your pelvis. It's like warrior 3. You can use your fingertips on blocks or on the floor to pull your chest forward. And then lower your right leg down to meet your left. Bend your knees. Circle your arms. Utkatasana chair pose. Good. Now shift the weight onto your right foot. Curl your left knee in towards your chest. Cross your left ankle over your knee. And with your arms in line with your cheekbones, descend your sitting bones down towards the floor. Strong flexion of your left foot. Keep zipping up. Keep the pelvic floor engaged. Good. And then start to stand all the way up. Hug your knee in towards your chest. Good. And release it down. Good. Bend your knees. Circle your arms again. Utkatasana chair pose. Shift the weight onto your left foot this time. Curl your right knee in towards your chest. Cross your ankle over your knee. This time you can descend a little lower. So if you want to bring your hands to your heart or place your fingertips down on blocks. And a little bit more of a stretch. You can also align your shins or your forearms on top of your shins. Good. Now press down into your left foot. Float all the way up. Arms to the sky. And then extend your right leg straight out in front of you. So you're lifting your torso up off of your pelvis. Your pelvis is rooting down towards your left leg. Bring your hands to your heart. Swoop your right leg all the way through warrior 3. And then slowly start to place a bend in your left knee. Reach your right leg way back behind you. Pause right here. Shift your torso forward and hook your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. You can always drop that back knee down if it's crazy. Remember, you're here to find a flow, not to struggle. You're not a salmon swimming upstream. Good. Unravel your twist. Bring your fingertips down. Step your right foot forward to meet your left. Bend your knees. Circle your arms. Good. Shift the weight into your right foot again. Curl your left knee in towards your chest. Cross your left ankle over your knee. Slowly start to sit down into your pigeon. And then root to rise. Press down into your right foot. Stand all the way up. Float the arms up. 90-degree angles at all of those joints. And then without changing your torso, extend your left leg out in front of you. Think about lifting your torso up off of your pelvis. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And slowly start to swoop your left leg back and through. Warrior 3. Heel in line with the sitting bone, crown of the head in line with the heel. Slowly start to bend your right knee, reach your left leg way back behind you. When you land, set your torso up so it's vertical. And then lean forward, long spine. Hook your left elbow across. Press the palms together. Left lung turns down towards the floor. Right lung spins up towards the ceiling. Release your shoulder blades away from your ears so you elongate all 4 sides of your neck. Good, and then release your twist. Place your hands down on the floor. This time slide your right foot back to meet your left. Last time, plank pose, as strong as you can make it. Tailbone is reaching towards those heels. Pubic bone is reaching towards the navel. Sternum is reaching away from the belly button. Crown of the head is reaching away from the sternum. Take one more inhale, shift forward. Your choice, super slow motion to lower yourself all the way down onto the floor, or chaturanga, baby cobra, up dog. You choose. from your downward facing dog. Shift forward to the top of a push-up. Lower down onto your forearms, forearm plank, placing the elbows directly underneath the shoulders. Imagine you could scoot your forearms backwards and scoot your toes forward so you contract through the middle of your body. Get that little shake. And then slowly start to walk your toes in towards your elbows for dolphin pose. As you come into dolphin pose, release all four sides of the neck. Move your shoulders away from your ears. Feel the verticality of your upper arm bones. Feel your shoulder blades moving towards your hips. Good, and then walk it back into a regular old plank pose. Listen carefully. You're gonna float your left leg up off of the floor. Move your left leg over towards the right. Roll to the outer edge of your right foot. Keep reaching the left leg back. Notice the strength in your right side waist. Good, now float it back, roll over your toes, place your left foot back down. Float your right leg up off of the mat. Start to move your right leg towards the left as you roll to the outer edge of your left foot. Keep reaching that right leg back. Breathe. You're not a salmon. Slowly make your way back and lower your lower body down. Coming back into a Sphinx pose. Let everything melt down towards the floor as you exhale. And as you inhale, grow your chest forward, then up as you lengthen back through your toes. If you want a little bit more this time, you can start to lift the elbows up from the floor, maybe straighten the arms, completely optional. Pelvis is still pressing down into the floor. Good, and then slowly release it back down. Arms are going to reach back behind you, palms down on the floor. Lengthen back through your legs. Lift your shoulder heads away from the floor. So your shoulder blades are moving towards one another. Your shoulder heads are as far away from the floor as you can send them. Good, now start to lift your upper body a little bit higher. So reach your chest forward, reach your arms back, let them float up away from the floor. And then reach back so much through your toes and let your legs float up as well. Press the pubic bone down. Think of lifting the inner thighs up, spinning the pinky toes down. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, just release. Make a little pillow for your forehead. Bend your knees and windshield wiper from side to side. Good, one more time. Lengthen those legs back behind you. If that felt really good and you're like, that's awesome, I'll stay there, or even if, you're like, I'm done, that's fine too. If you want to move on, if you want something a little bit more of a back bend, bend your knees. Right away when you bend your knees, notice how those hip creases tend to want to lift up. Press your hip creases down into the floor. Then reach back and catch a hold of your ankles. So the hip creases are still pressing down towards the floor. Start to kick the shins back behind you. Start to lift the chest up, and then see if you can lift your thigh bones away from the floor. And then notice what's tense. Notice what's struggling, and see if you can put some softness. Whichever pose you're doing, slowly release. Make a pillow for your forehead. And one more time, windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Good. And we'll place your legs back down. Place your hands alongside of your body. And shift your hips back into child's pose. So your palms are glued to the floor. Stretch your hips as far back as if you had crazy glue on your hands. So you just have to find that length through the sides of your body. Take a few breaths as if you could breathe more length by breathing more fully into all four sides of your torso. Good, and then bring yourself up. Sit off to the side. Extend your legs out in front of you. So the feet are active, right? Flex your toes up towards the ceiling. Sit up with a nice tall spine. You might sit up on a blanket if you find you're sitting on the back of your sitting bones. Make that choice for yourself so that you can sit on the center of your sitting bones. Bend your right knee and cross your right foot over your left. Okay? If you want to bend the left knee as well, you can. That's completely optional. Extend the left arm up to the ceiling, get that length out of the torso, and then contract your belly muscles to turn towards the right. And then either hug or hook your right knee with your left elbow. As you inhale, elongate from tailbone to the crown of the head. And as you exhale, contract the belly muscles to deepen the twist. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Make sure your ears are in line with your shoulders. Last round of breath. Look forward. Release your twist. Unravel whatever situation you have going on with your legs. Take a moment with your legs out in front of you to just give them a little wiggle. Feeling the energy move through your legs as your hamstrings feel the ground. Bend your left knee. Right toes are still active. Cross your left foot over your right. Well, hello, little lady. Downward facing dog, in case you were wondering. Thank you for your demonstration. If you want to bend your right knee, you can. If your dog is in the way, maybe skip it. Take the right arm up to the sky. Feel the ribcage lift up out of the pelvis. Use your abdominals to turn towards the left. And then hug or hook that knee and work your breath. So the inhale creates lengthening, 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 verticality. The exhale, contract your belly muscles. Find that verticality through your spine. Drop that straight line from the crown of your head. Feel it bisect the two sitting bones that you're sitting on. Good. Look forward again. Unravel whatever twisted situation you have. Extend your legs out in front of you. Give them another little shake. Feel the energy move. Good. Feet are active. Toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. Circle your arms up above you. Let each fingertip touch its mirror opposite. Feel that awareness in your fingertips. Lift your ribcage up higher. Reach your chest forward. Imagine your sitting bones could slide backwards and then place your fingertips down on the floor. Not as far forward as you might think they should go, because I want you to pull the floor backwards to lengthen your chest forward. Imagine that there was a magnet from your heart to your toes. That's your inhale. And on your exhale, the lowest part of your belly magnetizes down towards your thighs. Let your face already start to reflect Shavasana. Good, and then lift back up. Roll yourself all the way down onto your back. And before we hit Shavasana, reach your hands to the inside of your legs and catch the outsides of your ankles or feet for happy baby. Pull your knees down towards your armpits. Stamp your feet up towards the ceiling as if you are actively standing in a squat. So it's almost like you feel that, compression that gravity would ordinarily give us, but we get to create it internally here. Think about your tailbone elongating towards the front of your mat. Good, and then release. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Take an inhale, lift your head and your shoulders. Hug your knees in tight this time. Compress yourself into a tight little ball. Hold your inhale breath as if you were cultivating a sense of power by letting that breath stay contained. And then exhale completely and re-surrender your body into Shavasana. And it can be in a slightly different shape. You can bend the knees or set the soles of the feet together, or even take the feet out wide and let the knees knock in towards one another. The point is that concept, bramacharya, were you able to become aware of any patterns in your thought, any particular neural patterns that you tend to always go down? Some of us always go to, it's hard, and we're all actually guilty of that. I'm guilty of that too. But in your practice, can you start to observe and can you start to micro-adjust the thought patterns that you're drawn to? And now in Shavasana, you don't need to do any of that. You just need to surrender. And whether you believe that you were successful or not, there's no such thing. It's a practice. So drawing your attention is the work, even if you have to continue to redirect your attention. Now the work is to just let your body absorb it all. Let your mind rest. Let yourself come back to homeostasis. We're sailing into a nice long weekend, so imagine that you were sailing, your consciousness was sailing. Into a place of serenity, into a place of acceptance, and into a place of becoming whole, integrating. To complete this integration process, place one hand on your heart, place one hand on your belly. Try to breathe into both of your hands. And in these two energy centers, the belly and the heart, they truly contain the work that we do, the holistic work that we do, where we work with our mind, our emotions, our bodies. We use this gesture as a gesture of containment and also as a gesture of integration. How we can hold these qualities, how we can hold these concepts within, so that not just in this one yoga class, but throughout the rest of your day or your week, at times your mind comes back to bramacharya. What are those unconscious cravings or patterns that are pulling me? Can I become aware of them, and can I make a different choice? So releasing the attachment. So start to move your body any way that you want. If you want to stretch your arms or start to, sway your knees from side to side. Maybe stretching everything out, maybe hugging everything in. Finding your own process. Eventually making your way to a seated position. And setting yourself up with the shins crossed. Sitting right up on the center of the sitting bones, aligning the pelvis so that the bowl of water is absolutely still and undisturbed. And imagine the spine is like a tree growing out of the bowl of your pelvis. So there's space between each and every vertebrae. Soften your shoulders and the base of your neck. Magnetize the crown of your head towards the heavens. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. So you draw a straight line from the crown of your head through the center of your torso all the way down into your sitting bones. And imagine you could see right now through your third eye So you're looking from this place of wisdom. Ascribing that wisdom to that higher power inside of yourself, to that witness. And it's from this place we find that gratitude. Imagine your third eye could gaze down into the chambers of your heart. Unleash gratitude, love and compassion, empathy and forgiveness.